Oh, there's an ICE-3 train speeding through Bavaria. A T-gauge ICE-3 train. Now as the train passes through the countryside here, you'll see a bunch of various features. There's a small creek coming out of the wooded area, probably a spring, fed by a spring in a wooded area, going through the countryside there under the tracks and feeding into this lake. The lake was made using JPT Scenery Products plastic sheeting. Underneath is liquid blue colored water material, plastic. So the way it was made was it was coated on the bottom side of this plastic sheet, allowed to dry, and then when I mounted this, there's a white sheet of paper underneath to help reflect light. And by doing that, if it shows up on the film, you get various shades of blue coming through depending on the thickness of the plastic, the blue plastic that was placed underneath to give the water effect. So I'm very happy with the way this turned out. Different shades underwater, indicate different depths of the lake, which you do see in real life. I wanted to demonstrate my tunnel here on the layout. So tunnels are an excellent feature in all railroads. I think everybody loves them. They provide a nice transition to scenery, and they just look good, seeing a train go into or out of a tunnel. But there's always that occasion when a train may get stuck in the tunnel or halfway in or out, like this train here is sitting half in, half out. So I tried to think about everything ahead of time when I built this layout. So you'll see the tunnel section on this. This is a small layout, by the way, only 2 feet by 4 feet. So the train goes in here, goes around a curve, and then comes out on this side. So I wanted to make sure I had a finished looking layout. So I didn't want to leave any access holes from either behind or on the side. I want a nice finish edge. And then you can see there's no access hole for the tunnel. So to do that, I had to come up with a way to make a lift out section. Now, lift out sections are not that hard. You can disguise them, like the edge. If you can see right here, you can disguise the edge with scenery material. Of course, when you get to a road, anything, it's going to show a little bit, but you can always excuse that away by there are cracks in roads all over the place. So to get access to this tunnel, this whole section lifts out. The tunnel entrances are connected to it because I didn't want any areas where I had to try to feed my hands or reach into little holes to try to get things out. So this whole section comes off, and it leaves you with access to your train, whether it's for cleaning or to fix a derailment. And as you can see, there's a flange here on the bottom for actually on the bottom all the way around for the top to sit on. Okay, so now that the tunnel's out and I have the train out of the tunnel, for whatever reason, there's going to be times when you have to get into the tunnel, regardless of what scale you're modeling. It doesn't matter. Sometime you'll have to get access to the tunnel. So keep that in mind, make everything accessible, because if you don't, it's going to be a real headache at some point in your layout. So just showing how I built this, made the tunnel entrances from PVC pipe. It just so happened that it was the right scale, or we want to say right diameter for the T gauge. So I just cut the pipe along the edge here, spray painted it an appropriate color for cement on both sides, and then glued those pieces to a thin piece of wood, and then you see all the rest is just styrofoam, very lightweight. But yet, because the tunnel portals are part of this liftoff section, they had to be connected to something very sturdy, which is the wood. So as you can see, that way I don't have to, if I have to clean track or anything, I don't have to go through the tunnel portal. Everything is clear, accessible back here. And like I mentioned earlier, I want a finish edge all the way around. So obviously you have the backdrop on this side, which you don't want to cut a hole through your backdrop. And then I have the finished edge here, which is acrylic, painted on the inside so it leaves the outside nice and shiny. So to put it back, just fits right down in here. Nice and easy. And then you can go around where the edges are and just touch up the scenery. Try cover up the edges again. See, and you're back in business, ready to roll. And right here you'll see some road lines, white painted road lines. Those are done with a white fine gel pen. Most of it freehand. Some of it, use a guide for the straight shots. There you'll see a road sign over there. Some road signs. The part that holds the sign, the post, was made from fine guitar wire, cut to length. And the sign itself was printed off of internet, pictures of road signs from Germany, and scaled down to what they would be in real life, depending on the size, the size and shape of the sign. Working up here, we have traffic lights. The poles and posts or overheads for those are also made from guitar wire, and the traffic lights themselves were just scrap pieces of square or rectangle shaped plastic that were cut to size. And believe it or not, there are the different color lights on there, just with a fine brush dabbed on the red, yellow, and green paint. Working your way down here, same thing with all the lines and the crosswalks on the roads. They're all done with a fine scaled gel pen. There's a fountain here, right at the corner of the sidewalk. That was made by using an HO scale tractor trailer wheel without the tire on it. Painted it silverish color, and the center part was just a piece of silicone caulking to try to get the effect of water spraying up in the center of the fountain. All these buildings here in the town are from tgauge.com. Some additions and kit bashing, changed the color on some of the roofs. You see a lot of red roofs over in Bavaria, so there's a house there with one. Over here to the park, there's a bronze statue there, and that was made using an N-scale character. It was actually a businessman holding his suitcase and walking. So I had to cut off the right arm, put it in a position up to represent him holding a sword, and that's just represented with a piece of plastic glued on there, a little scrap piece of plastic shaped like a sword and painted appropriately. And the businessman's suitcase became the shield on the statue. Now working over here to the other part of the park, there's just an archway at the entrance, and it's just another scrap piece of plastic I had probably from an HO kit. I painted white as an arch, and then put up a maypole here to get the blue and white spirals. Again, I just printed off of the internet, printed on regular paper, and glued it around the pole to give the effect. After being involved with model trains for years and building different layouts, I've never covered them in the past, but I found out by covering a layout, it accomplishes a lot of different things. Obviously, you keep the dust off the layout. That's the whole purpose. But a good sidebar to that is I rarely have to clean tracks now, because as everybody knows, dust is very bad for model railroad tracks. So I don't have to clean tracks for months, as long as I keep the layout covered when it's not in use. So as you'll see, as I put this on here, I've chosen a very light gauge plastic, very thin. And the reason for that is as it goes down or gets closer to the layout, it won't destroy any of the details, such as the road signs and little details that stick up. And there you have it.